Hi, I'm Anthony, and I'm going to give you a short tutorial of GameMaker Lite. It, I'm not going to go into much detail, but hopefully it'll help to get you started using your program, GameMaker. Just takes a while to load. Alright, so down the side here, right, this is in advanced mode. In basic mode, you won't have as much, but for the first game it doesn't matter, so just leave it like that. Down the side you've got sprites, sounds, backgrounds, paths, scripts, fonts, timelines, objects, and rooms. Of those, you will probably be using sprites, sounds, backgrounds, objects, and rooms in this tutorial. So we'll start with sprites. A sprite is just a picture. Um, you can put as many of them as you like into the game, obviously, because, well, yeah, it's your own game, so you can do whatever the hell you like. We'll start it with, sorry, I should have taught you how to do that. So, alright, you right click on the sprites folder and press create sprite. Now you've made your new sprite. We're going to call this one sprite chocolate. Um, yeah, well that's okay for now. Make sure it's transparent. I'll explain that later, but for now just make sure that box is ticked. You press edit sprite, draw something in here, just go, a circle shape is usually best. You can always change it later on anyway. This is just there, that'll do. Okay, okay. Now, when you press show preview, you've got your circle there. If you had transparent off, it'll have the background as well, so 90% of the time you want to leave that on. Press center, that decides where it's displayed in the room. And doesn't really matter in this game, but in later games it gets really annoying when things aren't actually relative to the center of them, but rather the top left corner. So yeah. Alright, so you just press OK now. You've got your first sprite, so we'll turn that into an object. Right click on object, press create object. We'll call this object chocolate. It's usually best to match an object name with its sprite name, that way you don't get confused, especially when you use weird names like I do. Sprite, select the sprite that you made for it. Make sure it's visible and not solid. Depth is 0. Parents, you don't need to worry about for now, and show information. I don't even know what that does. Alright, so just go add event. Right, so these events are when this thing happens, then you do something else. So right now we're saying when it collides with something, when it reaches a certain time, when it's destroyed. For now, we're just going to go create. So when Sprite Chocolate is created, we want something to happen. Now down the side, on your computer, these tabs will have labels. On mine it doesn't because my computer is better than yours. Okay, so go to the top label, which I believe is move, and you've got all these things here. Just click and drag the move fixed, which is red arrows going everywhere, into the actions. Click on all of these, all except the middle one. The middle one tells it to stay still and set the speed to 6. Now these are the directions that it's going to go in. It won't go in every single direction at once, mainly because it can't. So it's going to choose one of them and go at the speed of 6 in that direction. So once you've done that, just press OK. The speed is 6. I mean, that's what you just generally do as an original speed. You make it faster or slower depending on that later on once you decide how you want your game to run. So we'll just go OK for now. Yeah, so press OK, right click on rooms, create room, just click somewhere in the room to put your object chocolate there, go OK, press the run button, and we'll see what happens. You won't get that created with Game Maker thing in the top left hand corner of the screen. If you bought the proper version, I've bought on my other computer. I'm not bothering to on this one because when I want to use Game Maker, I just use the other computer anyway. Alright, so you saw the ball flew off in a diagonal thingy. Alright, we'll just close that. I'm just going to make sure that it goes a different direction this time. Make sure I haven't mucked this up already. Probably have, but well. Nope, it's done it again. Just oh, okay, so what I said was right. Okay, ignore me double checking everything I said because, anyways, so that worked, surprisingly enough. So what we're going to do now, we right click on sprites again and create another sprite. We're going to call this one sprite unicorn, or it's going to be a wall, so if you want to use proper words, yeah. Anyway, if you want your game to make sense, you would have called the first one ball, and you'll call this one wall. But I just make up weird names as I said before. So leave this how it originally is, or actually, if you're using Game Maker version 8, you won't have it green here. It'll have this transparent thing there, so you're going to have to make it all one normal color. I don't have to because I got an older version in Game Maker because it's better. But you can't download that anymore, so if you're just getting started, you'll have to do it the hard way. Just press OK. Make sure that it's not transparent, that way you can actually see the walls. And put it in the center. And go OK. Now we've got our sprite chocolate and our sprite unicorn. Go back to objects, create a new object, call it object unicorn. Set the sprite to sprite unicorn. You want it to be solid because it's a wall and walls are generally solid. At least most of the walls I know are solid. Anyway, so add event. Actually, no, you don't want to give it an event at all. My bad. Right, just go OK. Right click on, double click on object chocolate. Press add event, collision, object unicorn. So this is saying when object chocolate collides with object unicorn, you want it to do something. And the something we want is, if I can find it, these will be labeled in your computer, so it'll be easier to find. Here we go. Bounce. So click and drag that into the actions bar. Applies to self. In other words, you want it to bounce rather than the unicorn to bounce away from, sorry, the wall to bounce away from it. Not precisely is generally better for this game. That way it kind of goes in a slightly more random direction. It's very much fixed, but yeah. So not every game will be exactly the same if you make it not precisely, which is kind of what you're looking for. And only against solid objects because the unicorn is solid and the other balls are not. That sounded wrong. Okay. Um, so you press OK, and then OK again. Now you will want to put an object unicorn right around the edge of your current room that you have. Whoops. Okay, I'll just delete that and that. And that. Okay, yeah, I was doing that one, my bad. Right, so top right corner, hold shift and that way you can just click and drag. Now, I'm just going to show you all of it now. You click and drag normally and it's like that. You hold shift and it does what I did at the top. Right click on a piece of the wall to delete it. Well, I put that back actually. And hold Control and click on a piece of the wall, and you can actually move the individual piece. Now I don't have to remember to tell you later. Alright, so yeah, right now you just wanna wait, did I do that right? Yes, I did. I keep on double checking everything I did. Anyway, alright, so hold Shift, click, drag it right across the top of the screen. Now you got the wall at the top. You wanna put the wall right across the whole thing, so just keep doing that at the bottom. The shift thing's annoying with this one because uh, our individual block, if you look at this, it takes up 4 tiles. So you have to make sure you're going in the right direction. Right, if I hold shift and go down here, you got the blocks are overlapping, and that stuffs up the bouncing of the chocolate in the game. So you gotta make sure that you're going in the right direction when you use the shift button if your object is bigger than an individual tile, which in this case it is because it looks better. Right, once you've surrounded the whole screen, press OK, run the game and see how it goes. Alright, we now have a ball bounce around the screen. That's a bit slow, but we can change that later. Sorry, that's my dog if you heard that. Melissa, can you let Chester out? Okay, I'll take this no. Anyway, you can close the game for now because